Coming up on Cultural Capital, we visit the V&A to see a new installation commissioned to mark 75 years of Pakistan's independence. We've got the suit off Dickens' back for Thing of the Week, and I'll be reviewing Jordan Peele's crazy new feature, Nope. August 14 is a national holiday in Pakistan, the day the country celebrates gaining its independence from Britain in 1947. To mark 75 years since that world-changing event, the V&A has commissioned a series of installations, starting with one by the artist Osman Yousefzada. We went down there to meet him.
We're here in the gardens of the V&A, in the Majeski Gardens, and it's we're here to really talk about the interventions, the solo interventions that I've done at the V&A. So you start off in the dome, which is a series of tapestries. And those tapestries are originally started off from the Falnama, the Book of Omens. Like they eventually became tarot cards. They're predominantly about ghouls and jinns, and the Book of Omens was actually flipping over a series of cards to actually tell where your life was going to take you somehow. So I think that's quite intrinsic to migration and these ideas that, you don't really know what's going to happen when you move to another space. And from there we go into the sculpture gallery, and we're in Gallery 25, where it's really a shrine to female migration and hidden spaces and hidden conversations. And really it's those knots and those folds within these wrapped objects. And then you come into this real community based around a boat. And this boat is actually the start of our relationship with South Asia, the V&A start of the relationship with South Asia, and that is of textiles. So you have this banner, and there's a sculpture in the corner which is also a seating installation, and you can use that seating installation, and you as you use it, it becomes less, and you put it back, it becomes more.
They say that the clothes make the man, and if the only surviving full suit owned by Charles Dickens is anything to go by, he was a very splendid but possibly not very comfortable man indeed. It's Thing of the Week.
Charles Dickens would have worn this court suit to an event hosted by the Prince of Wales in 1870, the same year that he died. It's a really interesting suit because it actually gives us a really good impression of what Dickens would have looked like, his height and his size and his measurements, particularly because there would have been precise measurements for each piece of clothing. We think this is the only full suit of Charles Dickens that still survives today. It adheres to the strict guidelines to court wear, all the way from the buttons to the trimming around the sides. And although it's black, and we think that that's quite typical of the Victorian period, it's quite unusual for Dickens. He was quite a flamboyant dresser. He was very dandyish in the way that he dressed, particularly in his choice of waistcoats, which were always very patterned and bright. So it's really interesting to imagine him wearing this, particularly because it came with a ceremonial sword as well. So it's a really great piece that brings Dickens to life and helps us to imagine him quite physically as well.
It's a 60-second film review. Jordan Peele's third feature, a bonkers sci-fi set on California's only black-owned horse ranch where some kind of alien is lurking, doesn't reach the heights of his debut, Get Out, but let's face it, that would be a lot to ask, and I loved it. Peele's writing is exquisite. He never slips into cliché, and even though the situation is exceptionally weird, his characters' decisions are absolutely reasonable in the balmy circumstances. Daniel Kaluuya returns to Peele's world as horse wrangler O.J. Hayward, the preternaturally still centre of the story, and his serenity is contrasted beautifully with Keke Palmer, in constant motion as his little sister Emerald. Their sibling relationship is completely believable, and Brandon Perea as an unexpected third wheel is perfect. Nope does have quite a weird structure. There's a bit too much plot, and it starts more than once, but in a way that low-key staccato seems to ground the otherwise fantastical story. I was completely sucked into Peele's all-too-real universe, and you know what? I'll never look at clouds in quite the same way. Thanks for watching. For more fun stuff to do and see in the capital, follow me and the Evening Standard on TikTok and ES Culture on Instagram. See you next week.